Hello there, and welcome back to another episode that brings you great Star Wars facts and theory. Have you ever wondered how the writers come up with the titles of the Star Wars movies? Well, join us today in finding out why. We start off in chronological order with Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. The term Phantom Menace can reference the Sith as a whole, or simply Palpatine. The Sith have been operating in the shadows like phantoms for millennia, and have now revealed themselves from the shadows in the form of Darth Maul. Sticking to the rule of two, where there was only a Sith master and an apprentice, they've been orchestrating the fall of the Jedi Order and the rise of a new empire in secret, hence the Phantom Menace. Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones, is pretty self-explanatory. It differs from the other titles as they usually allude to an individual character, whilst the reference of clones refers to the Grand Army of the Republic. Whilst the movie focuses more on the romance between Anakin and Padme, setting the scene for the next film, The Attack of the Clones references a specific part of the movie, most notably the Battle of Geonosis, in which the clone army rescue Obi-Wan, Anakin, Padme, and the Jedi Task Force sent to save them. As Yoda says at the end, begun the Clone Wars have. The Clone Wars movie brings a feature-length animation to our screen that depicts Anakin Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano trying to safely return Jabba's kidnapped child back to him, whilst Padme and Obi-Wan lead investigations into Count Dooku and the Hutt's wider plot. This film serves as an introduction into the fan-favourite Clone Wars animated series that provides greater context in the Clone Wars era. Episode 3, The Revenge of the Sith, is a reference to the decisive phase of the Sith Master Plan, in which the Sith finally destroy the Jedi Order, seeking revenge at last over the Jedi after thousands of years. Palpatine has his revenge on behalf of all of the Sith by executing Order 66 and seducing the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, to become Darth Vader as his Sith apprentice. A cool fact is that Revenge of the Sith is also a nod to the original working title of Return of the Jedi, which was originally going to be known as Revenge of the Jedi. The Solo and Rogue One spin-off films have two of the most obvious titles. The Solo origin story takes its name from the surname assigned to Han by the Imperial desk officer when enlisting in the Imperial military. This allows him to be known from then on as the famous scoundrel Han Solo. Rogue One sees a band of rebels infiltrating the Imperial base on Scarif to steal the Death Star plans. The name Rogue One comes from the improvised call sign for the ship, piloted by the team, Rogue One. Episode 4, A New Hope, could be linked to both Luke Skywalker and the capturing of the Death Star planned by Rogue One, bringing the Rebel Alliance a new hope. The destruction of the Death Star brought a new hope to the galaxy and has proven that the seemingly indestructible Imperial war machine can actually be beaten. Interestingly, upon its writing, A New Hope was simply known as Star Wars, before being established as Episode 4, A New Hope. Next up, we have Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. After the surprise victory by the rebels over the Empire at the Battle of Yavin that saw the destruction of the first Death Star, the Empire regrouped and struck back at the rebels. Firstly, they defeated the rebels at the Battle of Hoth, destroying one of their main bases. It then ends with the capture of Han Solo and the defeat of Luke Skywalker, who barely escaped with his own life at Cloud City. We then move on to my favourite of the series, which is Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, which I believe can have several meanings. Firstly, it could be meant in a literal sense that the Jedi have now returned, with Luke Skywalker completing his training, now becoming a Jedi Knight. It could also reference Darth Vader, who at the end of the movie turns away from the dark side of the Force, allowing the Jedi Anakin Skywalker to return and find redemption by saving Luke and destroying the Emperor. Next up, we have the sequel trilogy, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. This is a reference to the scavenger Rey, who has unknowingly had the Force her whole life. As she discovers her potential as the galaxy's new hope, the Force awakens within her, and she begins her quest to find Luke Skywalker to train her in the ways of the Force. Episode 8, The Last Jedi, specifically refers to Luke Skywalker, rather than referring to the Jedi in the plural. Whilst this film explores the deeper connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, it also begins to explore Luke's mistakes that led to the downfall of Kylo Ren and the destruction of Luke's Jedi Academy, making him the last remaining Jedi. And that brings us on to the controversial final film of the Skywalker saga, which is of course titled Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, which is a title that has been open to many interpretations. This title can be interpreted as Kylo Ren rejecting the dark side and fulfilling his role as the last true Skywalker, symbolising his return and rise to the light side, to help to defeat the evil Sith Eternal Palpatine. It has also been interpreted as a reference to Rey, who rejects her Palpatine bloodline to be known as Rey Skywalker, setting the scene for her rise in future releases and following in the footsteps of Luke Skywalker for the new Jedi Order. If you enjoyed today's Star Wars video, we've got more on the screen for you right now. Also make sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, hit subscribe to join the family. Until next time, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.